Mt. Gox coins have been on the move, and you may have noticed that the market started to pull back ever so slightly, but it's actually having a very, very quick rebound. So in today's show, we're going to assess, is this the start of a major crypto crash, a flash crash within the cycle? This is something that you commonly do see even within the bull runs. Or is this a major buying opportunity? So stay tuned till the end of the show. Smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, because we are looking at all things crypto over here on the Banter Bubbles charts. You can see on the daily chart, well, a lot of those coins have been hit pretty heavy, still pulling back. That's after yesterday's pump. And because the weekend was, of course, a long weekend within the US markets, due to the public holiday that took place yesterday, of course, that still meets and fits the bill of don't trust a weekend pump. And that's ultimately what we saw. So we're going to assess in today's show whether this is just a shakeout or if it is actually a buying opportunity. Because on the hourly, you're already starting to see a lot of the fundamentally strong coins in the top 100 bouncing back relatively quickly over here. So let's get into it. What exactly happened and where's price going from here onwards? So smash the like button and let's get going. Well, we can see based on the prior Mt. Gox movements and sell orders which have taken place over time. A quick reminder for those of you who are new here, what is Mt. Gox? Well, Mt. Gox was the exchange that went down, right, which had a massive amount of coins. A lot of them got taken away or confiscated, and then some of that's been going through this whole liquidation process which they've been paying out. So if you look over here from Crypto Amsterdam, it looks like the amount here now today is the same as 1 year ago. And if you look at what happened over there, well, it did lead to a little bit of a temporary pullback, but then very quickly price recaptured key levels and continued onwards and upwards. And that's really been the picture for the majority of the sell-offs. And this is typically what you see in uptrending market. When there's a bad news event, most of the time it's a strong buying opportunity, right? So if you look over here, this is where China banned ICOs, and what happened to the price? Because we were in uptrend, the trend always trumps all, right? The trend rules all, and prices continue onwards and upwards. Of course, this over here was a little bit more serious, with that being COVID-19 or the entire lockdown of the world, which shortly after that resulted in extreme money printing, which is something that we're starting to see now. I'm going to bring up another tweet in just a moment's time, which will show you when they begin with that, which is sooner than you may actually realize. If you look over here, this was when Arthur Hayes got sued. That's the BitMEX founder, got sued. And look at what happened to price action after that. Pretty much straight onwards and upwards. The USDT-USDT-D peg that took place, you guys remember, because I've been doing YouTube since that event happened. And that's where we loaded up aggressively on that trade over there. And then ultimately, if you go over here, Coinbase got charged and sued for operating outside of the bounds of where they're supposed to, and that marked the bottom over here. That's within this cycle, and right, prices went onwards and upwards. So is it going to be a buying opportunity? Well, probably, because at the end of the day, price is just simply consolidating and range bound in the blue box zone. So the range high coming in at $73,000 and the range low coming in over here at about $57,800. And it's really as simple as that, right? So as long as it consolidates within those zones and continues to defend the recent lows at $60,000, macro, very high time frame, the picture remains incredibly bullish, and nothing has changed based on what I gave yesterday, right? Other than the little bit of a short-term sell-off. Because this is your reminder that the $2 billion worth of printing starts today, right? He says tomorrow, but that was yesterday. That starts today. That is the treasury buyback operation, which is officially going to be beginning. And these are big, big, big orders, which is essentially a form of quantitative easing that gets imposed on the market. And the market is still not even that aware of Bitcoin, right? At least it's in their subliminal thoughts. It's not in the front of their mind at the moment, because if you do look over here, the public haven't really been searching for how to buy Bitcoin or looking at buy Bitcoin terms. You know, usually in Google search terms, which is one of the biggest search engines in the world, you can see when those trends start to pick up, and we're very, very, very flat. We haven't even got to anywhere near where those 2021 peaks were. Never mind if you go back to look at what happened in 2017. The interest in Bitcoin then was actually even higher than what we have right now. So with that being said, we're still looking at these stochastic RSIs on most of the coins moving towards the upside, getting back into the bullish control zone where bulls start to take control. And you can see on pretty much every single coin on the high time frame, there is a major turn of events over here where they're starting to move up, right? So there you have Sui, you have Solana, you have Say, you have Near, you have Matic, Casper. All of them are starting to trend back up. You have Injective, which is pretty much bottomed out. You have Dot, you have Cake, AVAX, Atom. So this is just looking at the big layer ones, Aptos, Lithium, well, not enough history over there. And then, of course, Cardano. So most of these are bottoming out, right? They've bottomed out in terms of the momentum oscillators, and we still have the viewpoint that prices, once they break above $73,000, is likely to start to move parabolic and go full vertical, which is why we continue to remain long on our trades. A lot of panic in the market early this morning. I was updating the Discord community, of course, in the whale room and stuff. So if you ever do want that extra attention, remember, this is where we, of course, outline exactly what's going on in the market live, because the rest of you, I can only get to you during the show times, right? Which is now, and then things change 6 hours from now, and then you kind of left in the dark until the next day. So if you do want that extra attention, join into Whale Room. Now, if you look over here as well, you have George Soros, one of course, the biggest investors in the world, updating his stock portfolio and adding MicroStrategy, which is indirect exposure to Bitcoin. So although, yes, he may not directly be buying Bitcoin, indirectly he's buying Bitcoin because, of course, MicroStrategy is one of the biggest Bitcoin holders in the world. With Michael Saylor constantly adding and buying Bitcoin, MicroStrategy is, in essence, the Bitcoin fund, right? It's another version of the Bitcoin ETF. They are the Bitcoin fund. So very, very positive for that final phase of the bull run, right? Because we're focusing on what can happen next, what will happen towards the end of the cycle. We look for signs of froth. This is just one domino in that picture that will start to suggest that the froth will slowly start to return, because retail market participants will look to the approval of big players like this, like George Soros saying that he's buying Bitcoin, and consequently it's okay for them to start buying Bitcoin, which in reality we know it's not. It's too late. You're going to be buying the top, but nevertheless, this is the way cycles work, and all we can do is position ourselves on the right side of the trade. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We've viewed the corrections. We've looked at that the whole week, and we're nearing the end of that corrective phase. We've determined the end of the correction would be a reclaim of the range highs, breaking out above that level. Then you can say you've fully completed that correction. And we've seen on the further end of the spectrum, you're looking at about 102 days is the longest ones. So far, we've played out a pretty substantial portion of that, in the sense that we've already completed now 75 days, right? 75 days. So 102 days would take you all the way to this vertical line, which means that probably we should be trading up to new all-time highs before the end of June. So the sell in May and go away analogy proved to be totally incorrect. And it's what we spoke about last month in the end of April before May, where we said, don't sell in May and go away, but stay in May and buy away. I didn't say that part, but that rhymes, so I thought I'd chuck it in there. But anyways, that was the buy the dip opportunity, and most likely you're going to get continuation. We have low volatility. Now, a lot of traders will actually trade volatility in the sense that they'll time their entries in low volatility, and then they will scale out of positions, whether long or short. So remember, volatility is direction neutral. It can go up or it can go down. If the trend is up, well, the most probable outcome would be when the volatility expands, it's going to expand up, right? So a lot of traders will establish long positions on low volatility if it's in an uptrend, or short positions in low volatility if it's a downtrend, and then they'll take profits in high volatility. So what does that mean over here? You're in low volatility. The blue vertical lines over here are showing the contraction of the Bollinger Band into one another, right? Those extended sides over here, the top and the bottom, are starting to contract into one another. That's showing periods of low volatility, prices contracting. And the whole world does that, right? The whole world moves through periods of contraction and expansion and contraction and expansion. the market cycles are no different. So we're trying to obviously time and perfect our entries into these periods of contraction and expansion. And we're using the trend, which is in an uptrend, to identify which way we should play it, long or short. Now, of course, within those broader trends, uptrends and downtrends, you also get ranges, right? So if you look at that, well, we've been range bound. It's pretty clear, right? So although you're in a broader uptrend, for the most part, the recent price action has been ranging. So you just need to adapt your trading style, right? When you start to break out of the range like there, that's when you want to hold it as a trend, a strong uptrend. When that trend starts to slow down, then you expect a new range to form, and then you're looking to play the range, right? Where you're looking to go long at the bottom of the range and you're looking to go short at the top of the range. But understand that when you've tested a level once, twice, and you're coming in for the third time, the probability is that third knock of the range high will most likely lead to trend continuation and the breakout of that range. Now, I know that's very, very confusing, which is why we do have Whale School for you. That's going to be coming up literally as soon as tomorrow. So use the link below if you do want to join and find out more about that. But I wanted to take this a step further and not only look at where we're situated in relation to the pivot levels with the RSI, as well as all the different EMAs. To make a long story short, yes, we've lost the pivot level. We've lost the 200 EMA on the 1 hour time frame, but we are still above the other key factors, that being the 200 EMA on the 4 hour and the 9 and the 18 exponential, that being the yellow and the pink one over here. But I wanted to take it a step further and look at the circled areas that I'd marked off. Now you can see all the circled areas are pretty key and pivotal in terms of marking major points where price tends to gravitate onwards and upwards. So you hit that level, onwards and upwards, hit that level, onwards and upwards. A little bit of a pullback, hit that level, you continue onwards and upwards. Hit that level, that's the range low. Hit that level, that's the range low. This one pierced a little bit lower, but right now we're coming into that level once again. Now, what is that level? It's the RSI, right? If you look at the RSI, and I'm marked off with the white line over here, so I'll make it massively big over there for you to see. Now it's nice and big. Every time in a bull run that the RSI starts to trend towards the upside, it finds some sort of a base at the 50 level, right? So the white line running horizontally over there marks the 50 level. And you can see over there, you hit the 50 level. That's a strong level of support, price bounces. You hit the 50 level, price bounces. Hit the 50 level, price bounces. This one came through and deviated, so I didn't count it because, of course, that could have been a false signal. But for the most part, any of the knocks into that price bounces off of. Now, you can see if you zoom in over here, we are fast approaching the 50 level once again, which more than likely will result in, again, a buy the dip opportunity. So that is the longer to medium term basis of what we're looking at. And in terms of the probabilities, that will likely be a buy the dip opportunity in hindsight. Even if you do see prices do something like this, let's look at the line drawing. If you see something like this and the reclaim, it's just going to be a little bit of a shakeout in the same way that you had here. This is the mid-range level, the key level to hold. So I know I've spoken a lot about ranges and trends. If you do want to learn more, remember Whale School will do the job. You can have a quick look at this video to see your expectations of what we would cover in the live workshops, right? So
range levels work all the time, especially on new tokens. When you're looking at a brand new token that's only been around for like 8 weeks, 12 weeks, forget the trends. Trade it as a range. Along the range low, take profit at the range high. You break out above the range high, hold it as support. You know that you're starting to open up a new range level. Remember, the trend is made up of multiple ranges, multiple blocks of ranges. All of that combined is a trend, right? And if you want to be a short-term trader, you don't even need to look at the trends ever. If you want to be a trend trader, then you look at the trends. If you want to trade the market 70% of the time, then the market ranges 70% of the time. This is just the nature of the market. The trends are very, very short-lived.
Okay, so there it is, guys. That is Whale School. Remember, there is a link in the description below. We asked a whole bunch of people what they think of Whale School and want to hear. There's a lot of testimonials. If you want to go and look through some of those, please do. Some people think I'm OCD. There you can see OCD, no offense, but they do rate it 5-star. Very, very good information. The link is in the description. Time's running out. You have 1 day and 6 hours left to join. Please use the link below. And then also a reminder, you guys are welcome to join the first workshop, right? Without even committing to doing the first, or at least the sign up process. If you go through into the link below, here you go, gain exclusive access to the welcome event. So the welcome event is where we drop additional alpha, that is below. And then there's your Whale School registration, right? So let's continue. Where are we within the current part of the cycle in terms of liquidations? Well, let's quickly zoom in over here on the 1 month and have a look at what's happening for Bitcoin on High Block Capital to see where the next zone of liquidity is, which should be in alignment with those range highs and range lows. So let's just let that load up. While that loads up, I am still currently in my position over here on Rune. I also am in the SUI position, which we scaled into. So I believe that all the orders have now been hit for the SUI position. We put 10 different orders over there, and every single one seems to be hit. Okay, is this going to load up? Let's see. If this is not going to load up, we'll just continue. I'll give it, we'll come back to it. Let's move it forward over here. We'll put it over there. Let's continue. Okay, funding is pretty flat. So again, reminiscent of the buy the dip opportunities within an uptrend. If you look over here at what's going on under the hood in terms of the cumulative volume delta for the spot traders, obviously puking their positions out on the news over there. Futures traders also going short over here, and you have open interest picking up towards the upside. So the only divergence over here is that the open interest has not yet flushed. Now, are we yet to see, is this buildup in open interest due to the shorts, or is it still some late longs that need to be flushed out of the market? If it's the latter and it's late longs, then that means that there is a potential that you could have a little bit of a deeper correction. How far could Bitcoin go? Well, possibly about $66,000 is the level, right? If you look over here at longs to shorts, it's really evened out. Yesterday, this was quite aggressively in favor of the longs, obviously late longs coming into the market. Right now, it's a 1-to-1 ratio with literally 175 short liquidations versus 176 longs. Funding still very, very, very negative, and in even some cases, or neutral in some cases, even completely negative. Look at that. Bitcoin Cash, negative 18. You're being paid to be long there. ENA, also negative 76%. So you're being paid to be long there. Are there any that are extremely positive? Let's see. Maybe Pepe, 33% funding rate. So slightly positive over there. Okay, this one is not going to load up during the live stream, so we'll continue. Another thing that we're looking is for the breakdown of the DXY, the dollar index. You can see in the more recent price action, you are downtrending, putting in lower lows and lower highs. But really, we said you need to break below this level and then lose this entire gray box. So it's going to take time to unfold for something like this to play out. But we are seeing the very start, the signs and the symptoms of that breakdown, with that massive event that's coming up, of course, in the sense of quantitative easing with the treasury buybacks. That may be enough to break down the dollar, right? That may be enough to break down the dollar over there because obviously people want to put their money into something that's going to give them yield. And if the dollar is going down, there's no point in holding the dollar. That creates a risk on appetite for the market in both the stock market and crypto. So if you look at ETH BTC, still holding a very strong move, reclaimed the 0.055 level, which is very significant, very good. We do have ETH USD as well on the right-hand chart over here, also holding up, having reclaimed the yellow mid-range level, and now we're targeting all the way up to the top side over here at 46.76. So that's the current situation. And I think Eric.eth, the fact that is his last part of his name there is .eth, might be a little bit of a confirmation bias. But nevertheless, I do think it's interesting thinking, because with Mt. Gox paying out $9 billion in Bitcoin, he says over here, I wonder how much will flow into ETH. Now, that's a 50-50 scenario, right? Some people may take the money, but yes, others may think, well, BTC's already run its course and it's better to look into other altcoins. So we'll keep an eye out on that. If that is a possibility, the charts will tell us exactly what's next. And as it currently stands, ETH BTC is showing signs of reversal. So Evans is also showing over here that OTC desks are nearing 6-year lows on their Ethereum holdings. So that is also something significant to pay attention to. You do have a potential catalyst over there, at least that can play into the mainstream media narrative for why ETH is, so scarce and deflationary. And of course, the chart's picking up and it should run. It's all about putting the puzzle pieces together of how the next leg could gain momentum in terms of media attention, right? We look at charts predominantly, but it's always nice to add the puzzle pieces together to see what could be the next major thing, right? Like the George Soros bringing retail interest towards the end of the hype cycle, and then things like this as well, Mt. Gox money flowing into ETH. I mean, things like that, right? Pay attention to those things. You also have Bitcoin dominance, which is now back tested into the prior supporting trend line over there, and thus acting as resistance, rejecting off that level, and consequently, it's coming down. So that is your daily time frame. I'm going to zoom out just to give you a bit of a broader picture on the weekly to show you what our longer term plans were, which seem to be following in accordance. Right now, you had, of course, the rising wedge formation, and we said, well, it's a matter of what comes first, right? We don't know which one's going to come first. Are we going to hit 60% first, 58 to 60% on Bitcoin dominance, or B, are we going to break down? In between those zones over there, as price was moving towards the upside over here, there's nothing we could really do, right? We needed to wait for the chart to show us what it wants to do next. So the chart has presented its next hand, right? The cards have been dealt, and this is the next hand. The next hand is, it's not following A, it's following B, which is an earlier breakdown because we're already seeing a full candle close below, and now we're getting our first candle open. Do we get the candle open and the candle close below the supporting trend line? If we do, not only that, but you'll also be breaking down the mid-range level, which you can mark off over there. So if you focus on the white horizontal, you've now closed as well, or at least opened a new candle below the 50% level, which as a range trade, as per the orange line over here, would suggest you traded level to level, right? So if you gain acceptance below that, then we're trading it down into the bottom zone, and this will be the big level to lose. When you lose this zone over here at 50%, that should lead to a full-blown altcoin season. So with that being said, this is one reason not to be too fearful within the market, but instead view this as an opportunity. When yesterday you were sitting on your hands crying how prices were rallying towards the upside and you'd missed it yet again. We've seen Total 3 with all the bullish demand over here, week after week after week, failure to break down this trend line with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now the 8th week of consolidation within that region. Mark my words, consolidating at those levels for such a long period of time and failure for the bulls to break that down is incredibly, incredibly bullish, right? We can go back to, let's go into this chart over here, and we can go back to what happened at $25,000 to get a little bit of, a taste for what took place over there in the sense of failure to break down. If you look at this over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks down leads to a big candle up, rejects, right? Another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more weeks, right? So all in all, 12 weeks, and then eventually this starts to push up, break above the range highs, and then it just starts to go full vertical towards the upside. So Total 3 may do something similar. And remember, Total 3 refers to the overall altcoin sector. Bulls gain strength by holding it in the yellow box over here, which you can see we're situated right at that zone. Where do things become mega bearish? Well, of course, if you start to close candles below the supporting trend line that's rising towards the upside, you have a little bit of support at mid-range. If you do break below that, of course, now we're going to be going down much, much further. It's important as a trader to always have your validation and invalidation levels intact. And the market wants the risk, right? Because every single time the market bounces, what are we noticing? Well, we're noticing a notable change in the meme coin sector, right? The meme coin sector continues to rally harder than any other sector. He has memes at the very, very top with the best performers. Then you have oracles, probably that's mainly based on Chainlink being one of the good performers yesterday. And then next after that, we have real world assets, which seem to be following in a close second. I would eliminate the oracles. It's only because Chainlink had a pretty decent bounce yesterday. If it didn't, then oracles probably wouldn't be performing. It's been number one, memes, and number two, real world assets heavily driven by BlackRock and the likes of Larry Fink, right? So with that being said, you want to position yourselves in those strong sectors, right? Those are the strong sectors to focus on. SocialFi has been the worst performer so far. Gaming also pretty brutal. I looked at the gaming tokens yesterday. Those have been absolutely annihilated, coming in around that 17th position over there. So let's continue. Let's continue on over here. There are a couple of trade opportunities for those who have been late and those who are pretty bold in the sense that you want to get an entry and you want it now. We're looking simply anchoring price with the high and moving it to the recent low. And if this is in fact the low to hold, then we know our Fibonacci tools set accurately with the high to the low, and that gives us a measured move over here up to the 1.618 on Bitcoin. So if you're purely wanting to take a trade and you want a 7-to-1 risk to reward ratio, those are very favorable odds. So for every $1 that you're risking, you could be making $7.28. Very, very, very decent and worthwhile trade. You don't want to see price break back below this big expansive candle that we had on the 20th of May. That's where your stop losses will be positioned, and you'd be looking to long Bitcoin pretty much right over here, right? You had a break of the downsloping trend line over there, which was the resistance level. Based on that big move up, you came down, wicked into those levels a few times, failed to break down. Again, you don't want to see price come below those levels again. So this would be the trade setup that I'm looking at, right? All the levels have been written on the right-hand side with the stop loss positioned at $65,593, entry price right over here, and your take profit at $84,481. So that is a free trade for you, right? I've dropped the rest of the trades in Whale Room. If you go into Whale Room under Captain's Take, you will get the rest of the trades over there. This is just one example of taking a trade and taking a chance, right, on the market. So let's continue. Let's continue. I wanted to also mention Chappyz because a couple of weeks back, we did give this as an area of interest, right? Coming into the key support area within the purple box zone over here. And what did you get? Well, you started to get a deviation just like before, and that leads to the next big move towards the upside. Now, this one's been pretty aggressive, and this is a lower market cap, so exercise caution when you do take these low market cap trades at 16.84 million. You're viewing this as your next major of resistance is going to be coming overhead into that region over there at 0.010, right? That is about another 50 to 55% upside before resistance. If you did take that trade with me, I want to remind you and encourage you, you can take that token and you can stake it, right? If you stake that token, you are getting compounded APY, right? So you are getting compounded APY by staking it in these liquidity pools. There it is, the Chappyz token. What is Chappyz for those of you who don't know? Well, ultimately, they are a SocialFi platform, right? So by going into their platform over here, you can chat and earn, or you can buy the token and stake and earn. By chatting and earning, you're adding value or contributing towards their various different ecosystem campaigns. And by conversing in those platforms, just like you do in the banter bubbles and you guys chat around there, they'll reward you with tokens. If you want to know more, the link is in the description below for Chappyz. There it is. Just go click there and it'll take you through to the web page. So let's look at Bitcoin as well on the 4-hour time frame. If you look over here, I said in the shorter term, possibly you could sweep down into $66,000. And if you look over here, that lines up as well, happens to line up with that 200 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. So I'd be viewing as a quick sweep of the mid-range level. If you even get that, there's no guarantee. The reclaim of that level opens up the chance to go long once again. The last long that we took on Bitcoin was down here, right? So line that up with the daily trade setup that I just sent you. If you are looking for a closer trigger plan, right? You're very, very aggressive on your trade and you want to take on less risk. So you're like, either get it at the exact level, or I miss the trade completely. So if you're very precise on your entry, this is what I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for a sweep down into this region, a little bounce of the 200, a reclaim of the mid-range, and then you can trade that up here, take a little bit of profit over there, and then the next profit zone would be where the 618 fib extension was in that $84,000 region, right? So that is Bitcoin for you. Let's look at ETH. ETH still showing relative strength and holding up. Look at the EMA is still holding above the 21 and the 50, whereas Bitcoin has already lost the 50 and is now approaching the 200. Let's have a look at Solana. So Solana also losing the 21 and the 50, but approaching the 200 over there. Let's have a look. Where is 𝗬𝗎? 𝗬𝗎 has been chopping. So 𝗬𝗎 is still below, right? So a riskier trade over there. How's NEAR? Above. Casper, just a quick overview above. Injective, also still below. AVAX, also below. What other one should we look at here? Atom, also below. Okay, so we'll go into some of the altcoin requests. Start dropping your requests in the chat over here. Before we get into that, guys, also if you are interested in checking out BitFi, which is a new crypto trading exchange, if you do want to diversify into other exchanges, there is a link below. They're giving up to $6 million worth of rewards in terms of those people who sign up within the next 6 days. So the link is below, but let's get into some of the altcoins, right? And a reminder, Whale School time's running out. When the show finishes, use that link, sign up, and we're going to get going on that from tomorrow. So let's just see quickly. I thought someone's phoning me. People often phone me during the shows. You won't believe it. It's crazy. Let's continue. Let's continue on over here. So what are we looking at? Rune. Let's go on to Rune. You guys are asking about Rune, obviously, because we are in the Rune trade. Let's see. Do I have it on this one over here? Let's actually look at Rune on the daily time frame. Let's see. Rune USDT. Okay. Okay, so there's Rune, very, very key significant level over here. You do have the potential for higher highs and high lows in the making. I mean, there's no denying it, right? Higher highs, high lows, higher highs, high lows. But you do want to break above this because, again, although we view the market as both ranging and trending, it's like, have you ever seen that that image where you have a triangle and then within that triangle, you have another triangle and another triangle, and then they ask you how many triangles are within the triangle, right? So if you look at that, that's kind of the way that you need to view the market, right? So you get lots of micro moves within the bigger macro moves. So higher time frame, what's been going on over here? Well, this has been a clearly defined range, and this is a big level because it's approaching the top side of that at 720. So what that means is if you break and hold above this, because in the lower time frame, it has been moving on up, trending towards the upside, the reclaim of this level over here will open up the possibility for Rune to trade back to the prior resistance level, which got rejected over here, which is going to be coming in at 1140, right? So now you open up a new range possibility like this. So that's kind of what we're waiting for. We're waiting to see, and if there is a rejection from here and you come back below these lows, well, that's going to be bearish. You're going to come probably back down into the $5 zone. So it is something definitely to be cautious of. Be aware of that. Okay, another one to look at is Pyth, right? So you guys are requesting Pyth, and Pyth is, of course, the other oracle on Solana, very similar to Chainlink, but catering to the Solana ecosystem, and it hasn't done nearly as well as Solana, right? You can see over here, as Solana, and it also hasn't done as well as Chainlink. It held a nice upsloping trend line. We circled that area. Once you broke that, that was a key level, and it was revisiting all the way back down to the range low. So that's your current situation, is until such time as it can get above 50 cents, it remains bearish, right? And where would the next level of support be? Well, of course, you don't have that much price history, but it is going to be at these ultimate lows, which for Pyth would mean a rejection from this level means slowly it could bleed out another 41%. So with these, if you're holding this for a longer term bet, it's best to either wait for a break of structure or to scale in, right? Because if you look over here, what's going on over there? Straight downtrend, right? So that would be a big level. If you break this level, you're going to be breaking above the pink zone, which is your horizontal resistance, and you're going to be breaking the diagonal, which has been governing price towards the downtrend. So I would ultimately wait for that, right? Wait for that. Otherwise, the next area to see what happens at is going to be down here. Maybe there you break it, and then at the same point, you can go long. So AVAX, I see AVAX in the chat. Let's hit it. AVAX USDT. All right. Okay, also rejecting from a key level over here. Until such time as it can get above that level, you have to look down towards the bottom of the range, which is going to be that $30 to $31. AVAX just hasn't got the same momentum and bid as things like Solana. And I've spoken about this before, guys. I said that, you know, even if some people speculate and believe that AVAX is fundamentally and technologically stronger and better than what Solana is, at the end of the day, if the market doesn't believe that, there's no point in buying it, because we're in this game to make money, which is buy low and sell high, or buy high and sell even higher, right? That's the name of the game. So with that being said, if you're looking at AVAX versus Solana, Solana's been the clear outperformer, technology aside, right? If you're holding for mega long term for 10, 15 years, hoping there'll be a technological breakthrough, then by all means, you can buy AVAX. But I really don't recommend stuff like that, right? Crypto, you know, to think that you're going to pick the right coin that's going to last 10, 15 years from now is very wishful thinking. We have to call it what it is. I love how crypto keeps going through these identity crises, right? In the beginning, crypto was meant to be, you know, this peer-to-peer payment system. Then we deviated away from that in the early phases of the market cycle. And then it suddenly now Bitcoin was gold 2.0. Then we went from gold 2.0 to DeFi. And then we went into full-blown degenerate gambling, right? That's what we had now. That's our new identity for this cycle. So we keep changing identity. So I don't think that this is stuff that you want to hold, you know, for very long term. So that is AVAX. We can take a couple more. Again, guys, I just want to remind you, Whale School, 1 day, 6 hours left. If you haven't joined, it's valued at $3,000. You're getting it 100% for free if you join right now before the timer finishes over there. And then it's free because of these sponsors, right? The sponsors listed below are ultimately subsidizing the course for you, the $3,000. Please use this exact link. I'm encouraging you to use this link. And the reason why, if you go over here and I highlight that just above my head, Whale School, unlock your educational secrets. The reason why is there is scam sites that have propped up and they're trying to steal your personal information. Please make sure to use that link. That way we can be 100% sure it's taking you through to the correct place, right? And not a phantom site. So let's go. What else? What else have we got over there? Phantom site. Now you guys want phantom. Okay, let's go to phantom quickly. All right. Phantom. Here we have it. Okay. We showed it rejecting from the key level over here, which was the dotted line at 88 cents. That currently is still the situation. I think that this can come a little bit lower, but it is very choppy, right? Longer term, is this a good bet, right? Let's just go back there. Man, let's find it again. Longer term is phantom and as good bet as the others? Not necessarily, right? It has done well recently, but please understand that there's a lot of people that are underwater, right? Probably the vast majority of market participants got into the market over here. And if they are still holding and they haven't capitulated out of those positions, this is a tremendous amount of resistance, right? So as price moves up into these regions over here, it is going to be met with selling pressure, right? So it's sometimes better to choose the charts that don't have previous price history because that way everybody's a winner, right? Everybody's in profit. And that means that the trend continues in that fashion, right? It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that prices grind higher and higher and higher. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Use the link in the description below. Sign up to Whale School right now, and I will see the rest of you on Whale School tomorrow. I don't think I'm doing a live show tomorrow, but we'll see. I'll see the rest of you tomorrow. Have a great day and cheers for now.